This video is a part of the A to Z series of Python language where I go through all the built-in functions of Python starting with letter L with the description of how to use them. The imported library functions and classes are written using these built-in functions only. So you can consider this as a foundation of the entire Python language. If you have landed directly on this video, you can check out the entire playlist in the iCard above or through the link in the description. Otherwise, watch this video till the end as I will also give real project examples where these functions might be useful wherever I can. My name is Aditya Shenoy from Brainy Things, where I make programming simple and fun. YouTube statistics show that a small percentage of you who watch my videos are actually subscribed to this channel, so if you end up liking this video, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind in future. The first function is the len function. This function returns the length of the sequence, collection, or the custom object passed to this function. So this parameter can be a sequence like string, a list, or a tuple. It will return how many elements are present in the sequence passed. This function can also take collections as its parameter, which are set, frozen set, or dictionary. So len, I will pass a set of 1, 2, 3. I can also pass a frozen set. In this case, it will be an empty frozen set. And also I can pass a dictionary of values 1 is to 2, 2 is to 4, 3 is to 6. And as you can see, the collection length is also returned properly using this len function. This function can also take custom class objects. For custom class, we have to override the _len function and define the logic to calculate the length of this object. So I will create class myClass and override _len function by passing the self keyword. For this simple example, I will just return a number 5, but you can write your own logic based on your requirements. And if I call the len function and pass an object of this class, it will return me 5 because we have said that for any object of this class, we should return 5. This function is very useful as you can use this to calculate lengths of any sequences. For data science applications, this can return the number of rows or columns. For array algorithms, you can use this to manipulate elements based on indices. For binary search, you will need this to find the initial bounds of the array, and the list will go on. The next function is the list function. Lists are mutable sequences, which means that you can add or delete elements even after constructing it. This is a very common data structure for many algorithms and applications. If we don't pass any parameter to this function, it will return an empty list. We can pass any iterable to this function to convert it to a list data type. So first let's pass a string, then we can pass a tuple, we can also pass a set, and we can also pass a dictionary. Like this. And the list function converts each of these sequences into a list. For string, it separates all its characters, individual single characters, and forms a list out of it. For tuple, it is just converted into a list. For set as well. And for dictionary, you will notice that the list return is of the keys and not the values. The values are completely ignored in this case. This function can also take a custom class object. For that, the object should have defined the _eta function. So to demonstrate this, I will create a custom class myClass and define the _eta function, and I will return iter of a list 1, 2, and 3. And if I call the list function and pass the object of my class, it will return me the same list. To know more about the iter function and the custom iterators like this, I have made a detailed video for all the available options to convert a custom class to iterable. You can check out the video in the iCard. Another way to create list is by roster method, in which you enlist all the elements inside square brackets separated by comma, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or and the list can go on. And it will return the list format like this. But this is too much code to write, and it is impractical if the list is, say, hundreds or even thousands of elements large. Another way to create lists is by using a list comprehension. Before discussing the list comprehension, we should know how to construct a list using loops. So I will create an empty list initially. For I in range 10, I will append inside the A list I into 2, and finally I will print the A. And as you can see, all the multiples of 2 is being appended inside the list, and then it is being printed. We can convert these 3 lines into a list comprehension code into a single line. So let's see how to do this. So inside the square bracket, you will first specify the elements that are expected inside the object. This can be an expression like this or an individual variable. So I will paste this expression, and then we can just copy this for loop without the colon and paste it over here, and it will create the same list as before. And notice that this is very compact, easy to read, easy to write as well, and it is performance wise faster as compared to writing custom loops. In short, this is a Pythonic way to construct lists. If the for loop consists of if conditions, we can include that conditions in the list comprehension as well. So first let us write the for loop method for in range 10. If I mod 2 equal 0, I will append I into the list, and finally I will print the A. And as you can see, it is printed 02468. Now we can convert these 4 lines into a list comprehension as well. So let's create a list comprehension. Again, we will start with the empty square bracket. We will specify what are the elements that we are expecting. So in this case, it is just I. Then we will follow the order of the lines in the same order as if it is in this cell. So the first expression we will add is the for statement, a space, and then the if condition, and it will return me the same list as before. This is an alternative to the filter function which we have discussed in one of the previous videos of this series. This order changes if we want to use an else clause in list comprehension. So to demonstrate this, I will create again an empty list for I in range 10. If I mod 2 equal 0, I want to append even string, else I want to append odd string, and finally I will print the A. And as you can see, the final list that has been constructed consists of alternate, even, and odd strings. We can again create this list using list comprehension. So we will start with an empty square brackets. In this case, we will again start with the element that we are expecting, but as we are using else condition over here, we will first specify the if condition. Then we will specify the else clause, and then we will specify what element to expect in the else clause, and a space, and then we can specify the for loop. Notice that this is a complete expression and this is a conditional expression. If you are familiar with an element, if this condition becomes true, else this condition. So this entire thing is an expression in itself. So we are following this same approach as before by passing an expression and then a for loop, but we are using conditional clause in the expression. Now if I run this, I will get the same list as before. You cannot use the elif keyword in the list comprehension, but you can achieve the same effects as the elif keyword using multiple if-else condition. But that will just make the code hard to understand, so you better use a for loop for this. Now let's consider nested for loops and nested if conditions. So I will construct an empty list for I in range 3, for j in range 4, if I is not equal to 0, if j is not equal to 0, a dot append a tuple of I comma j, and finally we will print a, and it has generated all the tuples from 1 to 2 and 1 to 4 because we are not including 0 in any case. So 1 1 1 2 1 3 2 1 2 2 2 3. This is the final output. We can convert these entire 6 line of codes into a list comprehension one liner as well. So we will again start with a empty square bracket. Then we will specify the expression that we are expecting to be the element of the list. So in this case it is a tuple of I comma j, and then we will just follow the order of the lines of the code lines that are present inside this cell. So first I will copy this line, paste it over here, a space, then this space, the first if condition, space, the second if condition, paste, and the final list that has been returned is exactly the same as before. And we have converted the 6-liner code to a 1-liner code. No doubt the list is constructed, but is this code readable and easy to understand? No. If a new programmer or you after some months try to read this code, you will have a hard time to understand this code. List comprehension should be used only if that makes the code more human readable and understandable. Lists are very useful due to their mutable nature, and so we should definitely know how to construct a list by either using the list function, the list roster method, or using square brackets, or the list comprehension. The next function is the locals function. It returns the dictionary of the name and value pairs that are accessible in the local scope. So it doesn't take any parameters. So if I call this locals function, by default these are the names available. Notice that the built-ins module is available in the local scope here, and in this case this local scope and global scope are equal, but if we call the locals function inside a function or a class, then the output returned by locals and globals will be different. Now if I create a variable a equal to 5 and then call the locals function again, as you can see, the the variable a inside a string has been added to this locals dictionary, and a value of 5 has been assigned to this key inside this dictionary. This function is very useful when you want to debug variables. This function can be used along with the globals function, which we have covered previously in this series. So these were all the built-in functions that start with letter L. If you ended up liking this video, please press that like button, comment any feedback that you have for this video or this channel, share this video with your friends. The code that I write in all my videos of this channel is available in my GitHub profile, whose link is in the description. You can connect to me via LinkedIn, whose link is again in the description, and I will see you in the next video.